Alright, there's something that the elite do not want you to be aware of, and that is flat Earth. The powers that be are struggling now to find a way to stop this barrage of information that's coming out, and they will take any means possible to stop this leak of their information that they do not want to have out. And it's pretty tough to really get a whole grasp on flat Earth. People will make fun of you, and it's pretty common. So to be a flat earther these days, you have to really be a social outcast in some senses if you really want to spread the truth to a lot of people. You really want to put your face out there. You're really going to have a lot of division, and people aren't going to be happy. People aren't going to be happy that their reality is changing so much. The mind has a way of blocking out anything that it has known for too long that goes against their perceived notion of reality, where they're at. So it's kind of like a program. So what you are in your mind is like, it's a basically all it is a program operating on a sort of a multi-dimensional plane. So you're getting constant feedback from other dimensions, and linguistically, your mind is. And for the most part, though, you really have a lot of your information here, though. You get in this sort of dimension. So you get a lot of energy here, but you all know that you will get other energies, and depending on if you do psychedelics, you will understand more how flat Earth works. So flat earthers, they have a hard time now, though, of trying to find the best way to present the information. We're kind of like at a new crossroads. 500 years ago, the priests and the scholars and the clergymen, everyone, they were very hard pressed to find a way to reveal their newborn science that they had, and some people might say that was a multi-dimensional energy coming through a group of people as an entity to reflect a change in consciousness, which societies that have praised and worshipped the shaman and understand that we are in a multidimensional plane probably understand a lot more than we do right now. So we're basically coming out of a multi-dimensional cycle, basically a long cycle of our understanding of where we're at. So we're being thrusted into the light more. We are kind of a dark time. We were in a dark time. Now we're going into a light time. So we're having to really adjust now, and it's kind of hard. And the powers that have kept their ways for the last 500 years, the the Jesuit. I mean, a lot of people will say, "Who's they?" And so you have to label them as something. So I just call them Jesuits. But there's different entities that operate underneath that use, say, the Jews or the Jesuits, different secret societies like the Masons as a front to push this, so that they're like medium. It's like a medium, and the elite families can also be used as a medium. So you have the Italian families that started usury back in the 1500s that created an army that you probably know as the Jesuits. So, but the royal families are a medium as well. Families in England and Italy are some of the highest ones, and as you might know, United States is basically just a front basically for the elite families. It is a military front. It's a corporation because we do have a president that is presiding over the company, and that has been shown without a doubt, and it's been like that for over 100 years at least, and it's a lot of work for the mind to kind of adjust to these ways of thinking, like with flat Earth and how the elites control your mind since birth, and with where you're living at. So there's a lot of levels. Oh, sorry. But as I was saying before, the elites, they are kind of a medium as well to this secrets group of people basically that do keep this hidden from people, and we don't know exactly how they do it. I don't know. It's secret for a reason, and it's like this for a reason. But the light is coming into a better place now. It's emerging. So, and the light knows the light and the dark. The dark only knows the darkness. So the light will always win. Okay, so now we have all of these basically cover-ups for science. So we have all of these new science stories coming out about Einstein, all of these bunk stories about relativity, and so there's no such thing as stars, pulsars. They're not real. None of this is real. It's just anomalies in the night. As you look up into the night sky, you will see shooting stars, you will see lights, you'll see the wandering stars, and you have to understand we live on a torrential field with a flat plain in the middle, with sort of like a McDonald's sign that's on top and on the bottom reversed. So yeah, we have all these bunk stories. So what the Jesuits kind of do is they kind of rewrite language. So English is what you might call legalese. A lot of people might say it's just a language to basically give you false impressions about what things are, and to define things in a way that is just there to give the person the upper hand who understands how the information is being released. in a way. So you have so sort of a indoctrination stage, basically, as a kid, where you learn language and you learn how to process it and speak it and all of this, and then you don't really understand legal consciousness as you go up. You just know how to define things, but rhetoric is very powerful. And the way English is set up is that there are things that are defined and things that are not defined. Things that you can call as, say for instance, conspiracy theories are. It's a genius way to put just a block on the consciousness of mind to stop the flow of information of true language and how the mind should be thinking, which is to question and reflect on what the controllers are doing, the secret societies that do pull the strings. And they've known this, and their fronts, they use a network of fronts. CIA definitely is one front, and you have top level CIA, everything that goes in the CIA that as you can see on the cover of it, but underneath, clandestine rogue operations, all this stuff. That's what the CIA basically is now used for. So all these operations, they exist, but no one really knows about them. But they're there, and it's really hard for the information now to come out. But hopefully we get more people to actually come out with it. So we have, for instance, we have, to get back into the story, we have a lot of just all this bunk science coming out. Pulsars, a lot of stuff to do with gravity and Einstein, because Einstein is basically one of their frontmen in telling you how science is, which is totally false. I mean, Einstein, all of his theories and everything it's just a bunch of nonsense. So Einstein's general relativity reveals new feature. Like I said, it's all bull, basically, and they have to use Einstein for a lot of these things to make you a more emotional creature when it comes to science. So that's what they feed off of. They feed off of your willingness to imagine things and like space-time, stars, things like pulsars, all this stuff, and think of space and travel and rockets, all this stuff. So Einstein is a front man, so he's kind of like the guy that they use because you've been indoctrinated since birth. So they use all these things, radio astronomy, and all of these things to view the firmament and the anomalies, what English would say anomalies, but what other cultures would say is just the magic of the sky, and just how the Creator created a firmament over us, and in some sense, a lot of senses, it is kind of easy to use the firmament against us as a weapon if you know how to use language, which the Jesuits did know how to use language. They used it very well, and their whole structure now is based on flat Earth. Basically everything is because of flat Earth. The structure of language, what we know in our minds, is all around keeping us dumbed down to not understand where we live. and that's the whole pie. That's the whole kit and caboodle, basically. So there's one story. So again, NASA reschedules. One thing that you will come to find out is rescheduling. One way NASA uses the way to deceive you is to get you all pumped up about something, but then they will reschedule. They've been doing this since 1970 something, since the mission from the Apollo missions stopped. They stopped the Apollo missions, and they've been, thinking about going back, doing this and that, but everything is basically rescheduling. So a NASA space science mission grounded for nearly 2 years by problems with its Pegasus rocket is now set to launch in October. So I mean, this is all, I could go into all this nonsense, but it's just a bunch. You have to understand, this is just a bunch of gibberish, garbage. There's no truth in any of this. Everything here is dead. This is dead consciousness. Okay, people that work for NASA are in dead consciousness. Everyone is basically in a death consciousness now because of language and how they hide flat Earth. So we're living in a death consciousness, but now with a new reality, a new light that is emerging, through language, we can find a way to stop it and get back on track with humanity. So this is again Northrop Grumman as a kind of the same thing, as NASA, same thing as SpaceX. They're all the same entity, basically. All the people that behind the scenes kind of run them all. They've all been bought out and paid for by these societies, and they use the symbols in all of them. You can go and see all the symbols that they use, and that's how they throw it in your face. And for some reason, that's how the operation of this reality works, is that there is a way to understand it. It's not totally in the dark, okay? So, as I said, it's all gibberish, contracts, dollars, gravity, all these words, they're just nonsense. So, again, let's see, space news. So we have India, a landing that was supposed to take place with their communication intact. Their communication was lost, and then a day or so later they said, oh, they finally located it, after losing contact. So let's see here. A day after India's bold mission to land on the moon appeared to have failed, the country's space agency announced that the missing lander had been located, raising hopes for a turnaround. So now, in my previous video, you can see how these actors and the emotions that they give, and the Prime Minister and all this stuff that they used against the people, how they use it to manipulate you and your emotions and your multidimensional frequencies. And the frequencies that are hitting us now are pretty big, and there's a light though that's going to come out of it. So the amplitude is pretty high. So India's homegrown and low-cost space exploration program has notched previous successes. So after 50 years, okay, with all these space programs all the countries have, 50 years we put over 6 moon missions. We put a bunch of people on the moon, handful of people, you know, and then 50 years later you have India. They can't even land a little rover without even landing people. They can't even land a little rover. It's a common tactic right now to get you to believe all this stuff and play with your emotions about space and all this. But you have to really just get rid of it, you know. You just have to see through all this stuff, okay? And all this is just nonsense here. Astronauts make first cement in space to support future Martian habitats. You know, you can just dissect this if you're woke. You just see all through this. This is just all nonsense, and it's just sad people fall for all this stuff. And you know, one thing that you can understand, I think, because it's easy to figure out how these people work, because they don't really do things and they don't really show it to you. Like if it was actually happening, it would be shown and people would be in the know and things like this wouldn't happen. I wouldn't be here saying this, you know. People wouldn't be making all these channels and videos about how it's fake. If it wasn't fake, you know, there would be cameras. You know, SpaceX would have the law in their favor to film and take videos from space. They literally can't take videos and photos from space. It's like a law, like a pirate and law for space. You can't do that. You know how ridiculous that is? I mean, all this stuff. I mean, if it was real, there wouldn't be people, like I said, like us. So see all this stuff. Lunar exploration provides new impetus for space resource. So space news. I'll see all these space news, Science Daily, all these little space.com, spaceflight. They're all owned basically by the same people. They give you false stories. All this is false. So efforts by space agencies and companies to send missions to the moon and use water, ice, and other resources there have renewed debate about the international legal regime regarding such resources. Much of the debate about the extraction and utilization of space resources over the last several years has focused on asteroid mining. So now they're mining. Initiatives by 2 companies in particular, Deep Space Industries and Planetary Resources. The long-term goal of mining asteroids led to the passage in 2015. So, okay, one thing you have to understand, these space rocks supposedly are going very fast, okay? So, landing anything on a space rock going thousands and thousands of miles supposedly through space, I mean, it's so ridiculous. People buy this. Like you think these little rovers can actually somehow catch up, land safely on a comet or asteroid that supposedly is going thousands of miles through space, first off, and these can't hit, you know, thousands of miles, these rovers, to catch up to it. So somehow they land, you know, on these asteroids or comets. You know how ridiculous that is? That really, I mean, how dumb do you have to be to actually believe this stuff? It's just ridiculous. It's just like, oh my God. How do people actually buy this stuff? How do people buy that meteors and asteroids like explode as they hit our atmosphere? Somehow there's some sort of way that it gets, heated up somehow. It's just nonsense to me. Like how does that happen? All there is air. It's just what people, there is, some logic to the atmosphere. It's like higher and higher you go, it's less dense. The atmosphere, the particles are less dense. So, and then people say, oh, because there's less, there's less density, air molecules, it gets heated up, stuff like that. But it's all nonsense. I mean, I can go on all this stuff. So again, another example he mentioned was China, which originally opposed the U.S. law, but now generally accepts their right to space resource utilization. So this is bringing up the international laws on what you can do in space. So Swiney said the most likely reason for that shift is that China itself is considering lunar and other space resources in its long-term exploration plan. So see, it's all basically legalese, it's all nonsense. Like I was saying before, growing interest in lunar resources and shifting positions among some nations comes as the debate about space, resource rights is about to enter a new chapter. UN Committee on Peaceful Use of Outer Space, COPUOSC, these acronyms, will establish a working group next specifically devoted to space resources. Swiney said that group will likely set up a 3 to 5 year work plan for addressing the issue. So yeah, it's nothing's going to come out of any of this. They just meet, they give a bunch of legal terms, definitions. They're all friends. We're all friends. Russia, China, US, we're all friends. We all rely on each other. We're not going to have any sort of monetary explosion. Fear-mongering is there. Do not give in to fear, people. That's what they thrive on. That's what these energies thrive on, is fear. Do not go into their fear. There's nothing to fear at all. At all. Okay? When you stop, letting all this fear get off of you, you feel better. Okay? You don't... your body starts, like, living. Like, your body can breathe. Like, my body was so tight. I used to believe all this stuff. I believed all this crap. All of this. Meteorites. All the planets. I wanted to memorize all the... I believed all this stuff, that the planets were, spherical, all this stuff. But stop feeding into their fear system, because that's what it runs on, is your fear and your energy. They take it from you. Stop it, okay? It's not worth it. These people don't deserve it. These energies don't deserve it. Okay, you are you. You are a divine being. You are light. Stop it. Okay? Start letting the light come through. Okay, here we have the birthplace of 2 meteorites from Mars was apparently a zone with 2 craters. New findings that scientists might use to unlock secrets on the red planet. The older of these 2 craters may have formed during an impact which triggered boiling water. This God is just so sick. All this stuff. Previous research suggested that Nakhilites were originally volcanic rocks from Mars that crystallized from magma about 1.3 billion to 1.4 billion years. A cosmic impact later blasted these rocks off the red planet about 11 million years ago. You know how ridiculous this sounds? A cosmic impact blasted these rocks off the red planet 11 million years. All this stuff is just gibberish, and it feeds the system, and feeds your fear, and it feeds the nonsense that feeds the fear. Okay. Japan set to launch space station resupply mission. What do they have to say here? 633. There's a 33 there. Japanese HTV cargo freighter is set to launch Tuesday aboard a powerful H-2B rocket carrying 6 new lithium-ion batteries, a Sony-developed laser communication terminal, fresh water and other equipment to the International Space Station. Another 33 here, another 33 here, 33 here. And we have 30 here, 15 here, 15, 30, 33, 777. All of these, it's just a place where numbers can harbor. And if you think about it, numbers are a big part of this reality. A lot of what we think of subconsciously, unconsciously is numbers. We're driven by numbers. The time, unconscious number, way of control. That's how they control your reality. 66 here, all this stuff is just a way to harbor numbers, okay? And so cargo ship is going to go into let's see, orbit. It's gonna then go to the space station and resupply the rockets. First stage LE-7A main engines will ignite in the final seconds of the countdown. And all this stuff is just there to make you realize this stuff is happening. I mean, I'm not gonna say rockets are this. This doesn't. It happens. I mean, rockets are real. Rocket science is real. Okay. Don't think rocket science is real and science is not real. Like, that's not what I'm trying to say here. But at the end goal of it is not to do this stuff. It's to deceive, and the controllers that control this stuff, these agencies, all this stuff, they program it to not actually do this because they can't. There's no way they can do this. There's a firmament. So JAXA, Japanese agency, Sony, they're getting into this. So again, they're not going to resupply. There's no resupply. They're going to launch a rocket up. It's going to go sideways and it's going to fall down. Okay? And all the stuff they do is recycled. They get their stuff, they recycle it, put new names on. Everything's a new name. Rwanda's first satellite, named RWASat, will launch Tuesday as well. It will aid agriculture and environmental monitoring. So there's satellites that are on balloons. So if you can see examples, there's satellite balloons. People do satellites. It's a real science, but they do not have any satellites orbiting a sphere here. And people, people, they don't want you to know all this stuff. What I'm saying is very, very, very inconvenient for them, and like I said, they will do whatever they can to stop this. Okay. So I will keep posting videos, obviously, on this stuff. I mean, it's all a bunch of gibberish, like I said. So here, European satellite dodges potential collision with SpaceX Starlink craft. So all of these satellites supposedly are in orbit. Okay, thousands and thousands of these. They're going thousands and thousands of miles. And so none of them basically crash into each other. But what they say is stuff like this: maneuvers may be quite common as internet mega constellations take shape. So maneuvering around each other will happen. So apparently now they're going to have to maneuver around so the collisions will not happen. A European Earth observation satellite performed an evasive maneuver yesterday to make sure it didn't collide with one of SpaceX's recently launched internet craft. The European Space Agency satellite fired its thrusters yesterday morning, raising its orbit to pass safely over that of Starlink 44, one of the first 60 satellites in SpaceX's envisioned internet mega constellation. So it's always feeding your imagination. SpaceX, Elon Musk, giving you a way to imagine, giving you a hope to wake up in the morning. Because life here, it's terrible. You wake up. Why work or do anything? You gotta believe in space. You know, you gotta believe there's something to look up in the sky and dream about. ESA took action after learning from the U.S. military that the probability of a collision was 1 in 1,000, 10 times higher than ESA's threshold for conducting a collision avoidance maneuver. Again, all this stuff is nonsense. We got a 69 here, and collision avoidance maneuvers like the one Aeolus performed yesterday may therefore become more common. So apparently all the satellites, like I was saying, they don't destroy each other, which is so silly. I mean, there's no videos, there's no pictures at all from space giving us information about any of this. I mean, there's nothing. I mean, look at, okay, let's watch this now. First 60 SpaceX's deployment of these satellites. So let's watch this. And this is on space.com too.
Deployment is scheduled for T plus 2 minutes and 10 seconds. Let's stand by and watch.
Okay, CGI, Starlink. So they're deploying a large amount of satellites. Okay, let's see here. So you have a total.
This brief loss of signal was expected. We should be able to get that video back very shortly. Stand by.
And that's how they do it. They always lose contact.
Starlink constellation deploy confirmed.
And we have confirmation of deploy. You can hear the team in the background. This is an incredible moment for SpaceX. You can see those flat-packed Starlink satellites slowly gliding away from the top of the second stage. This is the highest number of satellites that SpaceX has ever deployed in a single time.
This object right here is probably staying still, and there's a camera that's just going back in a tank, in a water tank.
There are no deployment mechanisms between those spacecraft, so they really are just slowly fanning out like a deck of cards into space.
Software to make sure that this looks like it's falling away, but what really is happening is they're just panning out, zooming out from it, and then they could distort, then they, make sure that they turn it and make it sideways so it looks like it's in space now. See, we have these little things going out right here, little things that looks like it's water coming out, but it's supposedly different things.
You can see those spacecraft starting to separate as they naturally glide away from each other. The sun is glinting pretty strongly off the panels and the bodies of those spacecraft, so it's tough to see them individually, but you can kind of see one breaking away from the pack right now. Those spacecraft will slowly disperse over time.
Here, what is that? Air bubbles.
With that successful deployment, we're going to be bringing the webcast to a close. For those of you who just caught the end here, we did have successful liftoff, successful first and second stage and activities, and then finally a beautiful deploy, as you can still see ongoing on your screen right now at 440 kilometers above the Earth. It's been a very exciting launch day today here at SpaceX, but we really are just getting started. Please, thank you to the 45th Space Wing for range safety and to the FAA for licensing today's launch, as well as the FCC for our first operational Starlink satellite licenses. We'd also like to thank all of our viewers for tuning in.
So FCC, you have to get a license from the FCC. Oh, okay.
Please follow our website and social media platforms for updates on our next missions and milestones. It's been an honor to host tonight's webcast. Have a good night.
Kind of a front man for this agency, or this entity, as you might say, for SpaceX.
Confirmation of a safe landing. We're seeing it on the LCP.
SpaceX intends to lock many more Starlink crafts, perhaps up to 12,000. Wow. So I'll just end it with that. I mean, I don't want to make these videos too long, so subscribe if you want more of these videos, and like and comment. Thank you.